This is the informant desk. Last video, I showed you the card and the lineup, the what. This one is the how, and it's long, because you asked for long. The subject is the only problem that actually matters when you put a local model on the air. Every day, unsupervised models lie, all of them. Confidently, fluently, and worst of all, plausibly. This station reads market numbers out loud to strangers, which means a made-up figure isn't a quirk, it's the one unforgivable sin. So this is the full stack of how we make a 35 billion parameter model tell the truth on tape every night without fine-tuning it once. Get comfortable. This one's for the engineers. Start with the writer itself. It's a mixture of experts, 35 billion parameters with about 3 billion active per token, which is the entire reason it fits this card with room left over to think. It drafts every script on the station, 10 shows, 3 bulletins a day, the pundit arguments, all of it. The runtime is a llama, and the model stays resident around the clock because the station enriches new posts as they land. A cold model is a slow newsroom. Here's the first honest engineering opinion of this video. For scripted content, the writer's job is voice and structure, not facts. We never ask the model to know anything. Every fact it's allowed to say arrives in the prompt, pre-measured from the data stores. The model is a stylist with a teleprompter, and the teleprompter is the only thing in the building we trust. The teleprompter is called a packet. Before any show is written, the collector builds the day's real posts verbatim. The measured market reactions, return, and percentile computed from stored minute bars formatted by code. The real poll tally prefixed so the writer can quote it. Real headlines tagged with their sources. Everything the model may reference in one block with trust labels. The prompt then says, in more words write the show, and every number you speak must come from this packet. Now, will a language model obey that instruction? No, it will not. Not reliably, not ever, and anyone who tells you their prompt fixed hallucination is selling a prompt. Which brings us to the part of the stack that does the real work. Every script the writer returns passes through a number firewall before it exists anywhere else. The firewall extracts every numeral and quantity phrase from the output, digits, number words, magnitude words, ordinals, percentile constructions, and checks each one for a license. Does this exact value appear in the packet? A licensed number passes untouched. An unlicensed number does not get corrected. This is the design decision I defend in a bar fight. It gets replaced with an audible hedge. The show says on the air the words, a big number. The host confesses instead of inventing. Because a corrected number is still a guess wearing a suit, but a confession is true. You can hear our failures. That's a feature. It's the only feature that keeps the rest believable. Now the part nobody warns you about, a firewall that's too aggressive, is its own bug, and it will poison your model in a way you won't see coming. Early on, the firewall hedged the word on. In a host scripted sign-off, I am the one who is not fine became I am the some figure who is not fine. Harmless, we thought. Except the show archives are the model's style memory, and the anchor started parroting the mangled version nightly, because as far as it could tell, that was house style. Overblocking trained the model on our own bug. So there's a law now, a lone cardinal in prose is not a quantity claim. First, let me say, is not a number. The firewall only hedges real quantity shapes, digits, magnitudes, multi-word runs, unit qualified counts. Every loosening is pinned by a test that proves a real fabricated figure still gets caught. Precision in, precision out in both directions. Related law, subtler direction words. If the packet says a ticker fell and the model writes surged, no number was fabricated, but the sentence is still a lie. Direction words are what we call the wedge class, small words that flip the meaning of true numbers. The validators check every directional verb against the measured sign of the move it describes, and a flipped verb triggers a regeneration, not a patch. Because patching model prose with code inserted words is how you end up with sentences nobody wrote. Same rule for a hedge percentile. If the distribution wasn't licensed, the whole clause gets dropped, never reworded into a high percentile, because high is a claim and nobody licensed it. The scariest data flow in the station is the one where the model reads itself, shows harvest style from past shows, the anchors sign-offs, the rivals closing jabs, so the cast stays consistent without fine-tuning. But stored scripts are prior model output tier 3, untrusted forever, even when quoting itself. So every harvested line is sanitized on intake, and there's a poison filter. Any line already containing the literal hedge phrase is excluded from the style memory entirely. So an artifact can survive at most one hop before the loop rejects it. If you're building anything where model output feeds, future prompts, agent memory, style archives, RAG over your own generations, steal this, quarantine the artifacts at the loop boundary, or your bugs become your model's personality. The voices. One F5 model, a different 6 to 11 second reference clip per host, cloned at synthesis time. More than a dozen personas off one model, no per voice training. The reference gate is hard law. The container clips reference audio at 12 seconds, but keeps the full reference text. So an overlong clip makes the model believe those words fit the shorter window, and your host ships talking like a chipmunk. Ours did. Once. Text is chunked at 280 characters because F5's quality degrades on long passages, and the chunks are concatenated with smoothing. And every text that reaches the mouth passes a speech chain, currently 12 transforms, every single one born from a human ear, catching something wrong on tape, decimals that slurred, dashes that paused too long, all caps that got spelled letter by letter, the word live rhyming with give. There is one definition site for that chain. There used to be two. The night a fix landed in one and not the other is why there's one. Last video showed the squeeze. Here's the whole choreography. The resident writer can be capped to a layer count at runtime. That's the squeeze. VoiceWorks squeezes it to 28 layers, synthesizes, restores. The reassert law squeeze before every chunk, not every job, any enrichment request between chunks silently restores the model to full size and detonates your next allocation. The restore has 3 redundant layers, a finally block for clean exits, a signal handler for interrupts, and a systemed exit stop post that survives, even a 9, because a killed voicer that leaves the writer squeezed means your newsroom writes slow all night. One lock file serializes every GPU job, and a fresh lesson, days old our hand run video builders didn't take that lock and worked flawlessly anyway, for 3 films, all rendered at night. The 4th ran at noon and met the timers. A convention that only holds because of when you run things is not a convention. It's a coincidence. Everything runs on timers, and timers mean races, and races need referees. The voicing queue takes urgent kinds first, then shortest job first, learned after a 40-second weather spot starved behind a 16-minute panel render, and the backup voice aired for no structural reason. There's a fallback if the GPU box hasn't voiced a bulletin within 35 minutes. The web server's older TTS voices it instead, stamped honestly as the fallback in the metadata. The 2 timeouts, the fallback window, and the GPU box's own staleness cutoff are a matched pair, kept deliberately disjoint, changed only together. And the numbers themselves were tuned by failure. The window was 20 minutes, until the first big panel episode took 28, on a perfectly healthy card. Timeouts tuned on small workloads are opinions. Measurements are better. The phone line, briefly, because the full film exists. Callers leave voicemails. A local whisper model transcribes them. On this card, nothing leaves the box. The law that matters for this video transcripts are estimated tier. A machine's best hearing, never a verified quote it once heard. Spotify and YouTube has a law firm called Watson and Foreman. So the operator can correct any transcript. And the system keeps both versions, the correction for the show, the machine original for the record. The transcript that airs says so on the website in so many words. Honesty about your pipeline's weakest sense is still honesty. The failure budget, because a stacked video that ends with, and now it's perfect, is lying to you. Things that broke in the last week alone. A render crossed 2 gigabytes and found node's buffer ceiling. A store's in-memory index kept an ID whose file I'd renamed, and the API served 500s until a restart. The router ate the phone line's idle pinhole, and callers got dead air while everything reported healthy. Every one of those is now a fix, a test, and an entry in a ledger we keep because the failures are the curriculum. There's a playlist on this channel that will fill up with them, told properly, one story at a time. Our fails can be someone else's wings. That's not a slogan, it's the maintenance plan. That's the stack. No fine-tuning, no cloud, no trust, just packets, licenses, hedges laws with names, and a very patient lock file. If you're building with local models, the portable ideas are these: put every fact in the prompt and none in the model. Validate output, never intentions. Prefer confession to correction. Quarantine the loop where the model reads itself. And measure your timeouts against reality, because reality is running a bigger workload than your test was. The station is live at informant.reiners.io, shows free, archives free, receipts on every number. The phone line is 1-844-719-4357. Calls are recorded and may be aired. Steal the ideas. Build something that tells the truth. The tape rolls on.